Senior Moments, sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Senior Moment Show. My name is Bryce Patton with our co-host, Sid Roeder. How are you, Sid?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How about you, Bryce?
Oh, fantastic. It's the weekend. It's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
And I just have days and days of soccer now every Saturday, so I'm stoked.
That's fantastic.
Well, I'm excited for our guest today, but before we dive in with Dalton, Sid, you want to tell us about our sponsor?
Like I do every week, our sponsor is the Empowering Seniors Group. If you'd like to learn more about them, you can do so online at empoweringseniors.info. You can also email us at empoweringseniorscv@gmail.com, and the CV stands for Cache Valley. And lastly, if you have any suggestions for this show, anyone you would like to see us invite, any subjects we haven't touched, you can reach me personally at 435-512-6406.
Thank you. And was that a little bit of resentment when you said I do every week?
Yeah, well, no, it's not resentment.
No, that's cool. I know I don't pull my weight here, and I know you do. So I appreciate that. Well, let's get into our guest, Dalton Forsyth with TenCap Wealth. How are you, Dalton?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I hear you just got back from vacation.
I did. The typical Disney World trip, but it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, I'm with TenCap Wealth Coaching. We're an investment advisory firm. So I think at a very general level, when you think of what does a financial advisor do, that's really what we do. I got into this industry just as a result of my upbringing. My parents were really hardworking. My dad was a mechanic, just kind of the guy that was chasing the stereotypical American dream. And they just kind of through a series of missteps really got hurt in the 2008 crisis, lost a lot of his retirement money, lost their investment properties. And that's about the time that I was getting ready to graduate high school and what I would call get into the real world. And it just kind of set me on a path where I needed, just for myself, I really wanted to figure out money and investing. I just wanted to know how it worked. And I felt like I was trying to keep myself out of that sort of a situation. And, going through school, I came up here to Utah State. I was a member of the football team. And by the time I graduated, I just had kind of this entrepreneurial spirit to me. And this investment coaching or financial advising space really fit in with what I wanted to accomplish in life, which was teach people about money and investing, teach them how it works and help them make better decisions, and then also give me the space to feel like I still am somewhat of an entrepreneur and, don't have to sit at a desk or a computer all day, every day.
So without dating your graduation, how long have you done this now, Dalton?
Let's see. It's been about 8 years that I've been in the business. Yeah.
Go.
What does that mean?
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. He's a young guy.
I am a young guy. I definitely am.
No, that's fantastic. So when we're talking about financial strategies or different things, when's the best time to start?
Yeah, I always tell my clients the best time to get started is today. There's a lot of people that when we go through the conversation, we start talking about financial planning, there's a lot of regret about things they could have done in the past. But we're not going to be able to address any of that. We're not going to be able to make any changes. But the best thing you can do for yourself and your family and for your financial situation is get started now. Whether you're 60 or 70 or 80, most people still have years of life ahead of them. And especially if you're looking to pass on assets to your family or to your children, any amount of time you can buy yourself is a win. So it's really best to get started as soon as you can.
Oh, well, you answered my next question about if it was too late. Is it ever too late?
No, I would definitely disagree with those who think it's too late to get started, because that's the reality, right? Is even if you think you only have a year or 5 years left to live or whatever it is, that's still a lot of time. And then if you're intending in any way, shape, or form to leave assets to your kids, whether it's a house or investment accounts or life insurance or whatever else it is, that's money that has literally another life cycle in front of it. And, like I said before, get started sooner rather than later.
So gearing this a little bit towards seniors, what are some of the strategies when you're aging? Because I'm sure there is a time where you maybe want to reorganize your investments a little bit. What are some of the things you come across?
Yeah. So one of the big ones is that for a lot of people, they set up their investment strategy at some point in life. And for most of the people I come across, it's when they start working, right? They get their 401k, they sign up for whatever investment strategy they sign up for, and then they just keep letting it run for 20 or 30 or 40 years. And a lot of times they don't hear from the advisor that's running that plan. They don't make any sort of changes. And so by the time you're to retirement age or you're already in retirement, you start looking at, well, this is a strategy that was maybe appropriate for me as I was looking to accumulate wealth in my 20s and 30s and 40s. But now that I'm in my 60s or now that I'm in my 70s, this is probably way too aggressive for me. We're taking way too much risk. It's going up and down way too much every year to be a reliable source of income for me. So the first thing I always recommend is that we look at rebalancing your investment accounts to find you a mix that's appropriate for your age and that's appropriate for your time horizon so that you're not taking on too much risk. Okay. And the second piece is just to make sure that your accounts are set up in the right ways. I've seen people go from employer to employer to employer, leaving behind their 401k money as they move. They don't know where it is. They don't really know how much it is. They don't know how it's invested. They don't really have eyes on it. And as you get towards that retirement age or even in retirement age, you can consolidate a lot of those accounts down, standardize the investment strategies. And the last piece I always point out to people as part of what I would call our initial process is make sure you get them set up correctly. Make sure the beneficiaries are right, because none of us like to talk about are we going to die, but I heard a quote that the statistics on death are impressive, right? It's just one of those things you're not going to dodge. You want to make sure that your beneficiaries are set up correctly. If you have a will or a trust, that you're putting the trust as the beneficiary, titling assets into the trust so that you can take advantage of all the legal protections you have and your money can go where you want it to go if or when something happens to you.
Oh, that's a lot that you just took in. So if somebody wanted to talk to you or set up a time, is there a fee or anything that goes along with this to set up with you or at least get the ball rolling?
Yeah, so we do free initial consultations for all of our potential clients. During that 1 hour discussion, really, we're just looking to answer your questions and make sure that you're a good fit for what we do and how we do it. But no, there is no fee for doing that.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we're already coming up on our break here, but if somebody were to come in and they're not 100% sure where their things are, does it potentially take a lot of time to sit down with you?
It doesn't have to be time consuming. We have a staff that's very good at tracking down old accounts or old money and putting this on autopilot for you. So if you're willing to invest a couple of hours over maybe 2 to 3 weeks, we can usually get it done.
Thank you, Dalton. As I said, we're coming up on our first break. For any listeners that are maybe interested in getting in touch with Dalton, when we come back, we'll lead in with contact information so you're able to contact him. This is the Senior Moments Show. Again, our sponsor is the Empowering Seniors Group. If you'd like to learn more about them, you can do so online at empoweringseniors.info, or you can email us at empoweringseniorscv@gmail.com, and the CV stands for Cache Valley. And again, you can call me personally at 435-512-6406. We're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Bruce with Comfort Care. One of the ways we help loved ones stay in their home is by assisting with daily tasks. These may include bathing, meal preparation, medication reminders, and housekeeping. We even help with shopping, transportation, and errands. Most of all, we offer a trusted level of care. Let us help you live your best life possible with Comfort Care. This is Bruce, and you can call me at 754-7676. Comfort Care, 754-7676.
Reed's Pharmacy in Hiram offers free delivery service 5 days a week. Monday through Friday throughout the valley. Just stay home and they will deliver to you. With 25 different suppliers, they won't have the shortage that others might have. Also, with compounding and many other services, they will be able to serve all your needs. In order to stay safe and help slow the spread, please call Reed's Pharmacy in Hiram at 245-DRUG, and they will take care of you.
Did you know 10,000 baby boomers qualify for Medicare every day? Did you know that you'll start to get swamped with mail about Medicare 6 months before your 65th birthday? Did you also know it doesn't cost anything to use an insurance agent to help you navigate through all those offers? Hi, I'm Tracy Ferris with Blue Water Health Insurance. Let me help you understand all the offers you're receiving and find the plan that fits best for your situation. Call me today at 435-890-8155.
And welcome back to the Senior Moment Show. My name is Bryce Patton with Sid Roeder, as well as our guest, Dalton Forsyth with 10Cap Wealth Coaching. I forgot that at the first part. We just talked about getting rolling with you. Would you mind sharing your contact information in case anyone wanted to reach out and had questions for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to get a hold of me or the best way to get on my calendar is just to call our office. We have a great team that can get you scheduled. Our office number is 435-227-5854, and we offer both in-person consultations. If you're up here in Cache Valley, we have an office that's in the Beehive Grill building. Or for those of you that prefer a virtual option, we can just jump on Zoom or something like that.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I am curious, in the break we were talking about estate planning. Do you want to tell me kind of the basics of that and then go into how you get started with your estate plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, I'm not an attorney, and I feel like I have to say that. Right?
Yes, you do.
But estate planning is a really crucial piece of managing and addressing your assets and your estate, especially as you go into retirement, or maybe you're looking at end of life, meaning how do we pass this on to kids, other family members, and for a lot of people around here, it might be some organization you care about, whether it's a church or another nonprofit or something like that. The place I always start when it comes to estate planning is with a will and a trust. Those are pretty much the fundamental pieces of an estate that I think everyone at this age should be addressing. The will, the way I kind of talk about these is the trust is the place where you can house a lot of your assets. You will literally take your assets and title them into the trust, like essentially making the trust the owner. And then with the will, you can dictate how the assets in the trust are used or treated or even distributed based on what you're hoping to accomplish. And they're really useful because you can set them up to take care of your spouse. If something was to happen to you, let's make sure the spouse is taken care of. Or you can set them up so that if something was to happen to both of you, where would the money go after that? Or if you're the only one that's remaining, just straight up, where's the money going to get distributed after that? And then there's other things you can add into what I consider the estate planning process that address things like having someone able to sign for you. If you became incapacitated, like giving them power of attorney, your final wishes. Some people literally want to plan out, like my dad planned out his own funeral as part of his estate planning process. He chose the songs, told us where he wanted to be buried, was very specific in his. And then you can even put in there, what would you want to happen in certain situations? Like if you're in a coma and the prognosis is XYZ, what should your family be doing for you so that you can take a lot of that pressure off of them, right? They don't have to be sitting around making decisions, that are comfortable for them and also hoping that they're honoring you somehow. You just get to take all of that, take that ball out of their court and make the decisions for yourself. and have those things in play for you as you go forward. So, there's a lot of things that go into it, but really that's the way I think of it, is kind of like putting the final bow on everything you've accomplished in life and making sure that all those decisions are made so that someone else isn't forced to make them for you under a very stressful set of circumstances.
So as you said, you're not an attorney, so obviously somebody would have to contact an attorney to get some of those things set up. But in the process, how do you recommend that you join that picture so nothing gets forgotten in regards to financial investments? How does that look? Do you sit down with the attorney and the clients and yourself?
Yeah, so very often we're, essentially holding hands with the attorney to help the attorney get the will and the trust done, right? So finalizing that paperwork is one portion of the process. And then you have to take it actually a step further and move into what's called funding. So you have to take the assets and title them into the trust. And then where we fit in a lot of the times is we hold the investment accounts. We might have the life insurance or other policies or things like that. And it's our job to make sure that if it's a trust, that the trust is added as the beneficiary on the appropriate accounts, right? Because there's some accounts that even if you have a trust, you don't actually want to add the trust. You want to make sure that there are people named as the beneficiary on those sorts of accounts. So that's a big piece of it. The other thing is life insurance. If you have life insurance, getting the trust added as the beneficiary of the life insurance so that if something happens to you, the money goes into the trust and then you use the will to dictate what happens to the money inside the trust. So it really is kind of like three parties working together to make sure that your will and your trust are not only completed as a document, but funded correctly so that you can use them in the way you were hoping to use them.
Wow. I mean, it just seems like you guys put a lot of work and effort into this. How long does it usually take? You said earlier it takes just a couple, 3 hours, but what does it look like after things are set up to review and make sure everything's squared away?
Yeah, and I think it really depends just on the individual situation and the scope of their assets and for some of them, even their family situation. I think on a really simplistic level, if it's someone, they come in, we set up their will and the trust with the help of an attorney, we get everything funded. We have some clients that really only want to see us once a year. I feel like we've kind of set them off down the highway, and their hope is that we have our meeting once a year. They make sure we're still inside the lanes, everything's moving in the right direction, and that's what they're comfortable with. And then we have other clients that want to meet once a quarter. They have different pieces, lots of different assets inside of their trust, different situations where family might potentially be a little bit more difficult to work with, or they want just more involvement from the next generation, where we're having to spend a little more time educating and getting the kids involved, right? And I say kids, but usually in a situation like this, they're 50-year-olds, right? So it really is just us figuring out what works for the client and what works for their family and making sure we hold their hand throughout the process to make sure that things get done correctly.
That actually makes me think of another aspect that probably filters into that, and that is tax planning and also looking at how it would look for children in case of inheritance, how taxes are dealt with. We're already coming up on our break here in a hurry, but maybe you have some thoughts there that you can still share with us.
Yeah, I just briefly, I think the piece that's important when it comes to tax planning is just making sure you look at the complete outlay of your assets and that you're deciding if you need money now, take it from the right accounts, not only to, I would say, optimize taxes now, but to make sure you're not stepping on your toes, meaning that you're not drawing down an account that could theoretically get passed on tax-free to your kids to save a few dollars on taxes now. Because if you look at a macro level, it's probably going to end up costing you more money.
Thank you, Dalton. Again, this is the Senior Moment Show, visiting today with Dalton Forsyth. He is with TenCap Wealth Coaching here in Logan. Is that correct?
Yep, it is.
And again, we are sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group. If you'd like to learn more about the Empowering Seniors, you can do so online at empoweringseniors.info, or you can email us at empoweringseniors.cv@gmail.com. This is the Senior Moment Show. We'll take a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Mark Thurston with White Pine Funeral Services. The best time to plan is when you have time to plan. Having a prearranged funeral gives peace of mind for everyone involved. White Pine will customize your final wishes to fit your needs, from a traditional burial to cremation to a custom headstone. White Pine also accepts prearranged plans from other mortuaries, and we will absorb any transfer or revocation fees. No penalty to you. Visit whitepinefunerals.com or come and see us for more information.
White Pine Funeral Services, here when you need us most.
You have a lot of options when it comes to buying or selling a home. Do you list it online, sell it yourself, or do you have a realtor help? It's a major financial and emotional decision. A realtor is the liaison between buyers and sellers and really helps you navigate complex contracts, deadlines, and disclosures.
Hi, this is Sid Roeder with Achievement Realty. I work for you to get the best outcome for your situation. Let me earn your trust with a free consultation and a free market analysis. Call me today at 512-6406. Then list it, sell it, and move on.
It's tough knowing how to care for an aging parent. Mom has always been there for me, but now I need to be there for her. When we found out she needed surgery, I wondered how I could attend to her needs and still be mom to my kids. I was so relieved to learn about transitional rehab at Maple Springs in North Logan. From the nurses to the physical therapists, it was like their whole staff was focused on helping Mom get better. Maple Springs in North Logan was an answer to my prayers.
Learn more at maplespringsnorthlogan.com or call 753-9400.
Welcome back to our Senior Moment Show. My name is Bryce Patton with Sid Roeder. We've been talking with Dalton Forsyth with 10 Cap Wealth Coaching. Dalton, before our last break, we were talking, but I want to get your contact information in case anyone has questions about what they should do with their trust or their will. If they have questions, can you lead us in with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to get a hold of me is to call our office, which is 435-227-5854. The other thing I'm willing to put out there is just if you'd like to communicate via email, you could shoot me an email directly. It's Dalton, DALTON, at 10cap, TENCAP.com.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. And over the break, we were talking a little bit about some things you may have encountered, some scams that are out there. Let's maybe dive into that a little bit and see what goes on, what people should be aware of.
Yeah, the reality for a lot of people is you think about this age range, meaning in retirement, approaching end of life, is you pretty much have the largest sum of assets you've ever had in your life. Right? You've spent your entire life accumulating them. You've probably spent some of them down, but your net worth is about as high as it's probably ever going to be. And unfortunately, that attracts some bad players. At times, it can be literal scams. We see them all over the place right now with AI technology being as prevalent as it is. And then sometimes it really is family members that I think a lot of times are well-intentioned. I don't think they think they're hurting their parents or their grandparents or anyone else, but they're really coming after their assets in a very aggressive way and spending them down in ways that the parents or grandparents didn't intend to do, and in ways that actually leave less for the parents themselves or for the other beneficiaries of the estate in the future.
So what kind of protocols or how do you guys help monitor that, I guess, would be a good question.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. We got a call a couple of weeks ago for a client, and it was one of her children, and we were able to verify that it was one of the children. However, that son was not listed on any of the accounts as an owner and was not listed on any of the accounts as an authorized signer. And this son was asking us to send a distribution, and we used DocuSign in this situation where the client was out of state. And when we send a DocuSign, you put in the client's email address, and then you put in a cell phone number, and it sends them the code, right, to verify that you at least have that person's cell phone as well. And this person was not only requesting a distribution from the account, but they were requesting that we didn't use their parents' email address or their parents' phone number, but that instead we used his email address and his phone number. Luckily, our staff is very well trained, and they caught that and said, hey, that's not going to work, right? The email itself has to go to your mom. The verification has to go to one of the cell phone numbers that we've registered and verified already. And while we don't know the exact intentions of, what he was doing in a situation like that, that's one of the ways we can help make sure that your assets aren't walking out the door without your knowledge. Because whether it's DocuSign, where literally it goes to the wrong email account and they forge an electronic signature, or we're using actual paper documents and they're just forging wet signatures and taking the assets, we want to make sure that our clients aren't exposed to either one of those and that the assets that they've worked so hard for are protected and distributed as they've asked us to do.
And I know there's a lot of other scams. When we talked in the break, I think you told me another case where you actually inquired on some unusual spending with a client. What are some other things that you've come across?
Yeah, that one specifically was a client that's been asking for $8,000 or $10,000 distributions pretty regularly over the last 12 months. And he's a client that we know very well. We know his personal situation. We know a lot about his life and his family. And every time there was a good story to go along with them. But this last time, he asked us for an additional $18,000, told us he was building a shop in his backyard. And I'm not going to say we grilled him, but we pressed him a little bit because we wanted to understand what was really going on. And it seems to us that he's fallen into what I would call a romance scam, where he's involved with someone online and they're just asking him for money. And over the course of the last 12 months, he's distributed almost $100,000 from one of his accounts and sent it off to who knows where. And obviously, at the end of the day, that's a decision he can make. But we want to work with him to make sure we kind of stomp that out, because it really isn't in alignment with what he told us he wanted to happen with his money. And we want to make sure we keep things moving in the right direction.
With all of that, it seems like you have a really personal relationship with all your clients. How do you manage that? How big do you have a big staff that you work with, or is it just you?
Yeah, we kind of pride ourselves on having great relationships with our clients and understanding what's going on in real life for them. Part of the way we're able to do that is we have a great team. So in addition to myself, we have 6 other full-time advisors. We have 4 full-time administrative staff. And then we also have a CEO of our investment advisory firm, because in addition to all of the money management and planning, there's an actual business that has to get run, and we didn't want one of our advisors running it. So we're glad to have him on our team.
Are you just in Utah then?
No. So actually, me personally as an advisor, my biggest client base is Washington State.
Oh, interesting.
I want to say we have clients in 21 different states. And that came on during COVID, where most people are open to Zoom and DocuSign. We have clients all over the place these days.
Thank you, Dalton. And that leaves just enough time for your phone number one more time.
435-227-5854.
Thank you for coming in, Dalton. Again, Dalton Forsyth with TenCap Wealth Coaching here in Logan. If you have questions, give him a call. And one more time also, I'd like to mention our sponsor, which is the Empowering Seniors Group. If you'd like to learn more about them, you can do so online at empoweringseniors.info or email us at empoweringseniorscv@gmail.com. And the CV stands for Cache Valley. We hope you tune in again next week.